Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for watching. I'm back here at McGrath Volvo Cars of Fort Myers because I found this 2022 Land Rover Defender 110. Now this is the X Dynamic package, and today I'm going to take you on a complete tour of this vehicle. We're going to check it out from the exterior, interior, jump inside of it, play with some cool and interesting features. At the end of this video, you're going to go on the ride with me. But before we do that, do me one quick favor. Go to the bottom of the screen, somewhere on the right hand side, right there. Click that subscribe button before we get back to this vehicle. So the new generation Defender came out about 2 years ago, and I've already done one. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I did the first edition. Now this is a little bit different trim level. This is the X Dynamic, they call it. It really created a class of its own because you can't really compare that to the typical off-roaders such as Jeep Wrangler or Ford Bronco. Now you can as far as the off-road capabilities, but maybe not as luxury and certainly not as a price, because they end where this one begins. Now one might argue that's comparable to the mid-size SUVs, family SUVs, and yes, to a certain degree, because it is a unibody construction right now, but also this is way more capable off-road than any of the mid-size family SUVs that I can think of. Now, as far as the G-Wagons, which a lot of people say maybe that's a G-Wagon category, well, you know, the most expensive Defender ends somewhere sub $100,000, and then we're talking the V8, the big daddy one of them all, and the G-Wagon starts at about $150,000. So then again, there's a huge price gap between those two. But let's take a look at the looks of this vehicle first, and the hood of it. I love the design. Overall, I think it's one of the coolest design in the last few years out of any SUVs. I like the design of it. I like those fake plates. Even though they're fake, they're non-functional, so if you get one, don't stand on them. They're gonna break. They're plastic. I also like this big bulge in the hood. Of course, you do have this LED lights and a pretty cool daytime LED running lights. Now when those are illuminated, they look awesome. Now you also have the fog lights right at the bottom here of it, nicely incorporated in this trim. Now this is more of a gunmetal trim. Even though this is not real metal, it feels good to the touch. Same color continues right in this top portion of the grille, and Land Rover, or Range Rover, is actually the first company that actually started spelling out the names of their model on the hoods of this vehicle. There's no different than here. You have Defender spelled out right here, Land Rover logo, X Dynamic, which is the model of it. Can't forget about all these sensors right in here. You also have this camera that's right in front, so this is for the off-roading as well as for the front view. Now what's interesting here, you have a few air curtains. One is over here, and that goes to cool down the engine. This is open, this is open, and you also have two channels right at the bottom here. Very clever design. They actually channel the air from here to the back of the wheels to help with cooling of the brakes. Pretty nice design. Well, let's see what engine is in this one. Check out underneath the hood, guys. We have this 3.0 inline six supercharged, turbocharged, intercooled with mild hybrid engine. That's a mouthful. 395 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque, made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Well, that comes at a cost at the gas pump because it is 17 in the city and 22 on the highway. That's the EPA ratings for this vehicle, about 19 on average. So not the greatest in its class, but it is a powerful engine that can actually propel this vehicle from 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds. We'll take a look at the engine compartment right here. You see the hood struts on both sides. You see some sound insulation in here, so that's a pretty nice setup actually. As you can see, this is the 4-door model, and they call it the 110, which used to be the wheelbase in the old days. Now it's a little bit longer. It's actually about 119 inches long, so it's about 9 inches longer. Also, the 90, which was the wheelbase on the shorter ones, it's now at just about 101. So these are longer. They just kept the names to kind of remind you of the old Defenders. Now, there's really nothing that's the same about this and the previous generation one, other than maybe some of the off-road capabilities. But let's take a look at the side of it. I love the square design of this Defender. Now, they added a lot of luxury in this particular model because, as you can see, all of this cladding around the wheel wells as well as at the bottom of the doors. Now, this is in the piano black, which normally is not my favorite color, but it fits very nicely with this white exterior. It also has this trim with the Defender written on it, and this is actually a functional vent that helps to suck the air in for the engine. Now, this could be also a nice placement for the snorkel, if you will. There's also one on the other side. Now, this is open, the other side is closed, so maybe that's what they meant by putting that opening on the other side, so you can put a snorkel in that too. This one is also equipped with a lot of equipment, like the safety equipment. As you can see, they have the 360 cameras. It also has the turn signal or the blind spot assist that's right here. And then as far as the door opening, now this is one of the, well, slightly disappointing features, because normally you can just get close to the vehicle as long as you have a key on you. You can still lock and unlock the door without using the key, but you actually have to push this button right here. As far as the wheels, this one has the 20-inch wheels. Those are upgraded wheels as well. Nice, kind of that matte black or kind of the satin black color, which is very, very nice. And if you like the old Defenders, you remember that they had those windows right there. And so is this one. This one has the window. We can show it to you from the inside as well as this trim. It's got the Land Rover written on it. So let's move on to the back. Let's check it out there. So if you ever looked at any of the Land Rovers from the past, like I'm talking from the 50s and 60s and 70s, you can see that all of them were wider at the bottom and narrower on the top. They were all basically Defenders at that time. And they did such a nice job incorporating this design into this brand new shape of the Defender. Love the lights. Check it out how bright they are. Now, they incorporated everything fully LED. They have the regular lights, the turn signals, the backup lights, the whole 9 yards right here. And look how bright they are. Very nice. So you have the spare tire that's on the outside. You can see this is the 20-inch wheel. As far as the size of the tires, 255, 60, 20. So this is not a really knobby off-road tires. This is what you get as standard equipment. As far as the rear bumper, it's very much in, right? So it's very short bumper. It helps with the departure angle. This one also has some recovery hooks in here. That does have the lights over here. And then as far as the towing capacity, you're looking at about 8,200 pounds with this vehicle. So it's not the greatest, but it does have a lot of power to pull your favorite toys. Well, as far as the gate, you know, it opens up like the door. So we've seen that similar setup on the G-Wagon, and you don't have the ability to open the glass door separately, which is kind of a shame. I think they should do it, but then they would have to figure out something to do with the tires. Well, let's check out inside, see how much room we have. Remember when I did the first Land Rover Defender review? That one actually was a 3-row seater. This one is a 2-row. So we do have quite a bit of room behind the second row seat. Now this is all kind of plastic, rubbery plastic to, well, it's made for the outdoorsy enthusiasts. So people who like to get things dirty and then wipe it off. Now it does have some hooks to secure your luggage or anything like this. Also, we have the power outlet on one side. What's interesting here too, that you can control your fan from the back here. So this is for the fan control. And now right at the top of here, see, I showed you those windows. They are actually up there. They're adding a little bit more light into this cabin. What else do we have in here? So we have a hook on this side, the same thing on the other side, and this is it. You can fold down the seats. Of course, you have this 40-20-40. Then you can fold down if you wish to, or you can just do this middle pass-through if you want to carry something longer. There you go. Well, so once you climb into this Defender, there's plenty of room, and I gotta tell you, the seats are pretty comfortable. They're not the most plushy ones, but for some reason, it just feels good. But I do have enough shoulder room, I do have enough headroom, and I do have enough knee room, and I'm 6 feet tall. The seat is adjusted to my regular driving position, and pleased to inform that there's no bump in the middle, or at least not a very big one, so 3 people can sit back fairly comfortably. Well, let's check out the rest of this interior together. All right, let's check out this interior, starting with the rear door panel. I gotta tell you, I not only like the way it looks, but the way it feels. So if you look at this armrest right here, this is all kind of this neoprene material. Looks like it's waterproof, basically a similar thing that the diving suits are made of, right? And then you have this plastic panel with the exposed bolts, kind of add to that ruggedness of this vehicle, and the door handle behind which there is a control for the window, but this is rubberized on the inside, which is kind of a nice feature. It doesn't slip when you grab it. Also, a nice thing to point out too, you have this blind spot alert. So basically, before you exit, if this illuminates, that means that something, someone, or a vehicle is approaching. So don't get out of the vehicle. So door handle, you get 2 speakers. We're going to talk about the stereo in just a little bit, and a little bit more room for maybe a cup or a bottle in here. So let's move on to the cabin. And let's take a look at the seating position. Now this one has this ebony with ebony grain leather, basically a combination of this Robustech material that Land Rover is using. Leather makes it for a nice and comfortable feel. It is kind of this also a rubbery feeling, but it is in a good way. I think this looks and feels very durable. You have this middle console that opens up with the cup holders. And you can actually fit 3 people in here, because guess what? There's no bump in the middle. All of that off-road and 4-wheel drive is underneath the vehicle. That's how high it is. In the middle console, you have your vents, of course. Then you have your controls for your temperature and fan settings. At the bottom, you also have the 2 USB-C ports and 2 regular cigarette lighter style adapters for charging. Seat back pockets. Okay, and you have additional USB ports for charging right in the seat backs, and if you wanted to attach any accessories to the backs of the seats, like maybe a coat hanger, you can do it here. And of course, it wouldn't be a Land Rover if it didn't have a grab handle to get in there. All right, let's check out how this sounds. Boom. Nice, solid, pretty heavy door, I gotta tell you. And I love, again, this door panel. I like this neoprene material. It's nice to the touch, definitely doesn't slip, so if you grab onto it, you can easily close the door. Well, you know, let's take a look at what we have right here. So again, you have the pedestrian alert. So basically this one tells you, hey, if this is illuminated that someone is approaching, don't open the door. You have the memory seat settings, mirror controls. Then you have your regular window operations right there, lock and unlock, and there you go. You have this Meridian sound, which is an optional feature. It actually sounds very good. I checked it out before I started filming it. And you have a little bit more of a pocket at the door. And let's move on inside. Defender on the door sill, controls. Of course, the driver and passenger are electronic controlled. And now look at the bottom here. Look at the way that it's built. So this is all kind of this rubberized material. There's no carpeting, anything in there, and for some weird reason they maybe wanted to add a little bit plushness in here, but they added the carpeting floor mats, which I'm not sure why. Anyways, so nice, because if you get anything on here, you can actually basically hose it off or wipe it off. Okay, what else do we have here? Right underneath there's more storage underneath that console, and you can access it on the side, you can access it from the top of here, but we're going to get to this portion in just a little bit. And of course, I want to point out one more thing, or actually 2 more things. That grab handle when you get in, and this is strange, right? Well, it's maybe not strange, but this portion right here is to block the hood from opening while the door is closed. So I guess they had some idea behind it. I'm not sure what that is, but who would open the hood while they're driving, right? Other than that, you have the brake control over here, and this is to dim your instrument cluster. Let's see. Check out the interior of this 2022 Defender 110. I gotta tell you, I like it. It is definitely rugged looking one. So they did a nice job designing it, and look how they incorporated all this electronics into what feels like an older vehicle interior. So I like the way that they wrapped these beams with this neoprene material. Okay, it kind of feels different than any other vehicle that you can see on the road today. This is a softer touch material, so even though this is right here, this is outside of your touch zone most of the time, this is a soft plastic. And you have the speaker right here. Now this one doesn't have the head-up display, but I'm pretty sure on the higher end model you would have it. The vents are kind of high, but they're out of the way. And then of course this is basically almost like a grab bar, especially on the side. If you're gonna get in the car, you don't have one on the side. Well, you do have one on the side, but you can also grab on to here when you're off-roading and you're afraid that you're going to fall off that vehicle. Right here, Defender spelled out on the inside of this shelf or compartment, if you will. And this is all rubber lined right inside of here. If you want to charge your phone, you can actually plug it in right here and lay it down so it doesn't move anywhere. Steering wheel is on the large side, right? So it is fairly big. It is nice to the touch. It does have a few different colors, as you can see. It's all plasticky though, so I wish they did a little bit nicer job on the steering wheel. You got the Defender spelled out. I actually like that they didn't make this a piano black. You can see on a lot of other Land Rover models, but there's a bunch of buttons that controls what's going on in here. So you have the controls for your phone, for your volume, for your cruise control, etc. Now let's see if we have anything that controls what's going on inside of this fully digital instrument cluster. It's a fairly good looking instrument cluster, I gotta tell you. On the left hand side you have the speedometer, right hand side you have a tachometer. Right now it says what's playing on the radio, so we have some Grateful Dead in here. And this is a used vehicle. It's got 9,000 miles on, but it is the current model year. So let's see what else can we see on this instrument cluster. So you can see we can change between the media. Let's go back up here, and information, trip bank content, display, info panel layout. Let's see if we have any different layouts in here. 2 dial, 1 dial. You can even put the full map in here, so you can actually customize it. We've seen it on some other Land Rover models, which is pretty cool. Vehicle, show warnings, tire information, media, again information, and we're back to display. So that's your customization right here. This is a clear to read instrument cluster, so no complaints there. And let's move on to the infotainment system. So this is a new infotainment system, which, well, the software is new, that powers up basically all of the Jaguar Land Rover models. They call it PV, I believe. And this is the smaller display. This is the 10-inch display. You can actually get the 11-inch display, which is a little bit larger. What's pretty cool about it, before we talk about the display, let's check something out. You can actually hide stuff behind it. Can you see it? All right, there's actually an empty space right behind it. So, you know, if you want something out of the way, hide it behind this. The infotainment system, this is one of the nicest infotainment system. Like, looking at it visually, it's a very nice infotainment system. Maybe not as robust as MBUX and the Mercedes-Benz, might not have as many features, but it's fairly easy to use. So let's take a look. Now we have the weight sensing technology that's set up on this vehicle. And of course, when you turn it on, it says, hey, do not go too deep. You know, your max depth is 0.85 meters, so it's about 3 feet, give or take, just a little bit, maybe less or more. And then you can go to 4x4 info, and you can see your roll, pitch, altitude, bearing, you know, which direction. Different trail modes, grass, gravel, snow, mud ruts, and it explains to you where to use your drive modes over here. So you also have a navigation system, and that's a pretty nice map. Let's close this. All right, that shows you where we at. And by the way, it's not flickering on the screen. It's just the different frame rate from my camera, so I apologize for it. But the screen is not flickering. And then as far as the devices, you can actually add your phone to it. You can set up your favorites, browse, search, etc. Go back to a home screen. You see the energy impact, which is a kind of a different features in here. You can see the driving style. Basically right now it tells you of what's drawing the energy, and that's AC because it is hot in here. Driving style, that tells you your economy, speed, driving score. And then you can have history right there. So you can see driving style, energy impact. Well, but you have a trophy right here. Whoever was driving this vehicle got a trophy. Let's see what this trip was. Economy 18.6 miles per gallon, average speed 50 miles per hour, distance 12.2 miles. So actually somebody was driving probably in the expressway for the most part with no traffic and still got 18.6 miles to a gallon, which is unfortunate. It's not as good as some of the competitors, so it's something to take in consideration. And go back to the home screen. Driving style, you can actually customize a lot of these features right here. You can see wheel info, compass, slope assist, media, phone. You know, that's just keep on sliding. And if you actually want to move something, you can actually grab this, let's say, and move this. Select tiles from below to add them to your home screen. So you can add this like right here. Okay, now you have compass. Then you can move it around if you want it at a different place. So this is fairly easy to use, customize to your own liking. There you go. So this is your infotainment system. Let's move down here. Now we've seen this similar system on other vehicles, and I'm talking about this dual function buttons, which somehow it's confusing to some people, but let's check this out. So right now you have your temperature that's displayed in here, so you can adjust your temperature. See, it's moving right here. But when you push this, it switches to the heated or ventilated seats. Now when I push it back and actually reduce the fan speed, which I can do by pushing this button to make this into the fan control, and also I can push this button to change the custom driving modes. So now you can see how it can be confusing to some people. Now if you find it already, so if you press this button and then you select different drive modes, they actually show up on your instrument cluster. And let's check it out what we have. So we have a comfort mode right there, and then we have grass, gravel, mud ruts, sand, rock crawl, and that's basically it. So we're gonna leave it in comfort right now. There's also an eco mode that we haven't talked about, but there's an eco mode. Maybe it's gonna give you like 19 miles to a gallon or so. That's basically where your controls is. A little bit confusing, but actually you can probably get used to it fairly quickly. Now I'm not sure why they had to move this all the way to the right. The only explanation is this is a British vehicle, so it would be the closest to the driver if the steering wheel was on the right side. And then you have all the shortcuts for, this is your hill descent assist. You can turn off your basically engine start stop button, traction control. You can put it in the low gear, so you have to select the neutral. We're not going to do that actually. Then underneath here, I showed you before, you have access to this bottom storage right there. You have the USB-C, USB regular cigarette lighter style charger, and then of course you have this electronic shifter. Okay, parking, you move it to shift it. Let's put it in reverse. Let's see how the rear view camera is on this vehicle. All right, reverse. Put it in reverse. Okay, so you can see your rear view camera right there. This is a top view, top 360, and this is not a bad camera system. Let's see what else do we have. So I can actually do this camera from here, hit this, and look at this. So many different points that you can see this vehicle to. So everything, there's a camera you can see. Okay, there you go. Moves to the other side. Over here, that goes from the inside out, so that's kind of a rear corner. Now if you want to do the front corner right here, front forward, front other corner. So this is a pretty cool and very comprehensive view. I really like that system, and the camera is really nice. I mean, if you look at the surroundings on it, it's nice and clear. So great job on the camera system right here. Now there's also an off-road settings for here for the camera, right? So that kind of gives you both sides of the vehicle. So that's when you're going in between rocks. You don't want to mess up your nice paint on that $70,000+ vehicle. So you want to kind of look and make sure that you're not going to do that. So on-road, off-road camera settings, pretty nice system. All right, what else do we have here? We do have cup holders. Again, this is kind of this neoprene cover. I'm not even sure what the real name for it is, but I'm just going to stick to it. You do have the wireless charger, a little bit of storage. There's no refrigerator then, which is available on the highest end models. And then if you look at the top right there, now do we have? No, we don't have, which is available. Like I've done it on the first generation or first edition one. There was this camera mirror. You don't have it on this option right here. And then you have your regular, well, panoramic sunroof, which is fairly large, and you can open up the screen right there, see how much light we're gonna get inside of here, and you have your sunglasses holder, and this is it. This is the interior of it. It's very nice. Take it for a spin. Guys, before we take it for a spin, let's talk a little bit about different models, trim levels that were available for 2022 model year. Now, Land Rover already switched their website to the 2023 because that's the ones that you can order. But 2022, they had the base model at $50,050, S at $53,450, X Dynamic S, which is this one, at $62,050, SE $67,750, X Dynamic SE, X Dynamic HSE, XS Edition, X V8 and V8 Carpathian, stopping at $112,000. So from $50,000 to $112,000. That is a huge range. I think they kind of narrowed it down a little bit looking at their website for 2023 model year. But you're better off going to the Land Rover website, selecting the 2-door or the 4-door, which the 2-door actually starts off just a little bit more than the 4-door. The 4-door is about $700 less for some reason. I mean, I think adding the 2 doors would be more expensive, and the 4-door may be more desirable, in my opinion at least. Let me know what you think. But let's take it for a spin and see how it performs on road. Unfortunately, I don't have an off-road track anywhere near here, or have the ability to take this vehicle for a longer test drive. So we're just going to check it out and see how this engine performs. Check out maybe a little bit of a driving dynamics, performance, pickup, braking, the whole 9 yards. And the one thing that I noticed before, and the same thing right now, I just love the way that I sit in this vehicle. It gives me that commanding view of the road and the surroundings. It does have quite a bit of room and nice visibility. I could use that mirror, as a matter of fact, because that tire kind of is in the way of looking outside the back. But I do like how that camera stays in place even while you're driving. So I can see the brake lights are on, I can see the cars in front of me, and behind me. No, I can see behind me, but maybe if I looked from the front here, there you go. Look at this. This is pretty cool. How about this? Well, I'll be watching that most of the time, so somebody's passing me right now. See that? Different views from the camera. So, I mean, it's a little bit distracting, to be honest with you, and I kind of have the urge of playing with it, but the vehicle drives nice. It does have a nice feel to it. The engine is very capable, in my opinion. It's not overwhelming, like even if you press the accelerator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around and I'm going to see if I can do maybe a 0 to 60 on one of the side roads, and see if we're going to be able to check that out. But overall, a decent sound to the engine. Now, one thing I'm going to check out too, because I heard somewhere that this horn in here is not very manly, so we're going to check that out in just a little bit. But there's a side road right here that is usually wide open, so I'm going to be able to at least check out some of the acceleration. They say it's under 6 seconds. It's about 5.9 seconds, 0 to 60. There's really nobody behind me, so I'm going to actually check that out right now. Wow, I didn't expect that. hit 60 miles per hour. This is a very square vehicle, and this is a 3-liter engine. We're not talking about any of the AMGs that can hit that threshold a lot faster, but it's very capable. So no question about it. I like the engine. I like the performance of it. And let's see if I hit the brakes a little bit harder, if this vehicle is gonna take a dive and dip very deeply or not. So, let's see. Not bad. Sorry, that was my backpack, you know, flying around in the back. I guess to sum it all up, I do like this vehicle. I'll give it a thumbs up. And I'm kind of having mixed feelings as far as where it falls in its class, because it's really not this plush, luxurious Land Rover. It is an off-road capable vehicle, but the price of it, it's kind of all over the place. I mean, it starts at $50,000, it ends at $112,000. That's before adding some of the options, so I'm sure you can top it out at $120,000. And that's a lot of money for an off-roader. I'm sure it's going to have a nicer leather and more appointed interior and all that stuff, but do you really need that? Well, some people can argue that yes. But to me personally, it kind of falls in this very strange market segment. I don't know where to place it. As far as the car itself, put the price aside, I really like it. I do like the way it drives, I do like the way it looks, I do like the technology that it has in it. A few things that I would probably change or maybe address is, one thing definitely, this somewhat confusing switching of those dual purpose dials right here. Well, you can switch it to either the temperature or the seat heaters or the fan controls or the drive modes. I mean, that just gets a little bit too much. So maybe do, you know, 2 more knobs or something different. I'm not sure. That's one thing that I would have a complaint on. The other thing is the gas mileage. Yes, it's the 3.0 inline 6-cylinder engine, but you know, having 18 miles or 17 miles to a gallon on the low range, that is a V8 category, so definitely something that could be addressed, and it is a mild hybrid minded, so it should have a better gas mileage. I wish I could take it off-road to see the off-roading capabilities, but I hear all the great things about it, and Land Rover's always been great with it. So if you're looking for one, definitely consider it. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun-looking vehicle. And if you like watching videos like this, guys, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button at the right-hand corner of this video. Really helps me out a lot. Help me get to my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.